Hi, Queens. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Destined Discussions. I am your host, Tamika Marable, and I'm excited to be able to share with you all a recent interview with our current Mrs. Galaxy 2020, 2021, and 2022. Yep, that's right. She was recently featured on this week's Queen's Quote, and she shared a quote that said, "Enjoy the journey, build the foundation, and most of all, leave your mark on history and leave a legacy as the hardest working woman in the room." So, without further ado, sit back, enjoy, and take a look. All right, we are here once again for Destined Discussions this month. I have a special guest with me today. I'm so excited for her to be with us. You guys are going to get to know her a little bit better. I know her pretty well. She's one lady that I met in the pageantry space, and I'm so excited to be able to share her with the world from what I know. Crystal Cavey is your current Mrs. Galaxy 2020, 2021, and 2022. Crystal is a crossover winning both the Miss Belleza Latina International 2018 title as well as the Mrs. Galaxy 2020 title, which she has held for the past 3 years. And she is so excited to share this journey with her husband, Billy, and both children, Tori and Raymond. Crystal has been in Belleza Latina and Galaxy pageant system as Mrs. Illinois Belleza Latina 2017, Mrs. Belleza Latina International 2018, Mrs. Latina Galaxy 2019, Mrs. Illinois America, and top 15 at Mrs. America 2016. If this lady is not on fire, I don't know who is, okay? As well as America's Ultimate Queen, Mrs. Royalty International, and U.S. National Miss. She's made over 800 appearances in 8 years. Some of her favorite hobbies include running, exercising, having coffee with close friends, and traveling anywhere with her family. Crystal loves fashion, specifically Versace, and having fun being herself. Her culture is so important to her, and her family is her number one priority. Her quote for this month was, "Enjoy the journey, build the foundation, and most of all, leave your mark on history and leave a legacy as the hardest working woman in the room." Let's give a hand clap and bring her in for one of the hardest working women in the room, Miss Crystal Cavey. Come on in.
Hi, Tamika. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm here in lovely Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And you said I like to travel anywhere with family and friends and have coffee and do some exercise. And that's exactly what I'll be doing after our podcast and our little conversation today.
Excellent. Have a swim for me, honey, because I wish I was there. All right. Well, I'm so happy to have you here. Now, please help me. I know I may have messed up a little bit on those titles. It's Belleza. Am I saying that
Yeah,
correctly?
you actually did really good. So
Okay.
in 2017, I had come off of Mrs. America. I was a top 16 in 2016. I crowned my successor and I told my husband I just didn't feel done. I wanted to do a pageant that was related to my culture. I'm Puerto Rican. And I said, I want to go and compete at Ms. Belleza Latina International. And my husband was like, I can handle that. And so I did. I became Ms. Illinois Belleza Latina International in 2017. And then I went to Ms. Belleza Latina International in 2018. That year I won overall interview, photogenic, gown, and fashion wear. And fun fact, that's the entire pageant. And then I turned around and was offered the opportunity as a hardworking queen to come back and become Mrs. Latina Galaxy. And for me, I had already been Mrs. Illinois. I was not interested in it. I didn't want to be Mrs. Illinois again. I wanted to always be Mrs. Illinois America 2016. And so I never wanted to be Mrs. Illinois again. I wanted that year. That year was one of the most special years of my life. I won Mrs. Illinois at almost 40 years old. And wow. I didn't. So I came back as Mrs. Latina Galaxy. And I became in 2020 the very first person to ever win both Belleza Latina International and Mrs. Galaxy back to back, and the very first Mrs. Latina to ever win the pageant. And due to COVID, I have been their queen for 3 years. And actually on right around my 3-year anniversary, I will crown Mrs. Galaxy 2023.
Awesome. Awesome. I
But you
love
did good in pronouncing it. It's Besa Latina International. You did really good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So it's two things that you said that stood out to me that I absolutely love. The first thing is that your husband was on board. That is so phenomenal, and it's really good for queens to have that support, especially in the married the Mrs. division,
Yeah.
because we need that. You know, as we compete, we need our husbands on board and our family, because it comes a lot comes with that. Um, and so kudos. And then the other thing that you said also was that you won at 40. And
Yeah.
so that's
Oh, I
so
didn't even
special
put
to me.
that's so funny. I think 40 is really the new 30, and I'm going to be 46 this year, and I got to believe 50 is the new 40.
Period.
It's so funny. I did not compete in my first pageant till I was 37 years old. And I had a really solidified marriage. I still do. We've been married for 21 years this year. We just had our 21-year anniversary last month, actually. And I'll start with the fact that I believe in the Mrs. Division, that if you're going to do this without the support of your husband, you're going to have a rough run. And that's because we need that support. We do this for ourselves. We do this to build confidence, to grow ourselves, to promote our passions and platforms. But without the support of the person we sleep next to every day, I feel that this journey, it just wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be fun. And what I can tell you is I am lucky in that sense that Billy has always supported me in everything I do, no matter how crazy the idea is. And believe me, sometimes it's crazy. And I've always supported him. And together it works. I'm here down in Tennessee, and we're heading to Orlando with some of our friends for a wonderful wedding party. And my husband is like taking care of the house back home. And when I arrive back, he will leave for work in Michigan. Like it works. We got a really good working relationship. We really support each other and our goals, and that helps. And winning over 40, like, wow, what a journey it is when you're standing on the stage with 20s and you're just secure enough in your foundation and who you are and what you bring to the table to still win.
Yeah.
And, I really promote women in their 20s too, because I have a 20-year-old daughter. And so I promote women in their 20s too, but I really don't ever believe that you're past the point where you can go out there and really rock a stage and really rock an interview room. And for me, so much of my life has happened over 40 that I'm like, why not? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I love that you said that, simply because this year I will be 40. And so I'm excited about that. But then also too, it's like I started first competing at 35. So
Yeah.
yeah, I believe that, sometimes you're just not exposed to it. And if you're not exposed to it, you don't really know about it. And so I appreciate that that you have that mindset about it. That's really cool. So I want to get off into um, your quote, because it was phenomenal. So you said, enjoy the journey, build a foundation,
Mhm.
and most of all, leave your mark on history and leave a legacy as the hardest working woman in the room. Now, I appreciate that. Number one is because that was one of the first things that you actually told me when we started our journey as coach and coach E, if that's a word.
Yeah.
But yes, and so what I decided to title this month's discussion is actually Be the Hardest Working Woman in the Room by Crystal Cavey. So can you tap into that quote a little bit? Tell us what really inspired that quote for you, and how did you allow that quote to spill over into other women and girls?
Yeah. So that quote probably started for me when I was really little. I grew up in a family. I was the oldest of 5 kids. I was the first person on both sides of my family to graduate from college. I graduated with double degrees in corporate and organizational communications and a minor in English from Northern Illinois University. And, growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. Like, we had a lot of love, but we did not have a lot of money. And
Mm-hmm.
I always knew that in order to overcome that, and those statistics that come along with being a first generation college graduate, and stuff like that, I would have to be hardest worker. I would have to be the hardest working woman in the room. I
Yes.
would have to be the woman that outworked everybody. And I was okay with that. Sometimes we work twice as hard to get half as far. And I was okay with that. And I never have felt like I should receive something without working for it. And
Yes.
actually, I think that that entitlement is one of the biggest problems that we see today. Is I feel like I'm entitled. I should receive something I don't work for. And as for me, I'm very comfortable working very hard for what I want. Like if I want to take a vacation, I don't just randomly run a credit card through there. I got to work for that. That has to be pre-worked for. If I want to get on a stage, I got to work for that. If I want to get into an interview room, I got to work for that. I have to make the appearances. I have to do the body of work. I have to talk the talk and walk the walk. I think that the days of just walking across the pageant stage and being like, I'm so pretty or whatever, those days are starting to dwindle. And I think you're seeing a lot more hardworking, dedicated, devoted women to systems winning pageants every day. And I'll tell you, I'm here for all of it. I love it. To me, it's my mantra. It's who I am. I have had it spill over into my children. My daughter attends University of Central Florida, and that was not easy to get into. And I have always told her, be the hardest worker in the room. It will happen. Tell my son the same exact thing. This year, fun fact, is the very first year he's a wrestler. He's been a wrestler for many years. And he did not make it to state this year. It's the very first time that he did not go to a state championship. And I said, you will bounce back. You'll have to be the hardest worker in the room, and then you go get it. And he did. He's already in the off season practicing for next year. Yes. And I just think that that's the type of legacy and mantra I want to teach my children. And it's really, I'm a coach for pageants. Everybody who knows me knows that. It's really what I instill into the women I pour my heart into. Yes. We can't all win every time. And there's only going to be one crown that goes home. And if it's not yours, the key is, number one, you put the work in so you feel good about what you did. And number two, hopefully you and the queen that do win really align, because you didn't win on your first try, right?
Right. Absolutely. I didn't win on my second try either. Yes. So that definitely can spill over into the next generation. I think that's a absolutely fabulous thing for our next generation to know, is that you have to work for the things that you want, right? You can't just go out here and expect anything to come. But as you were saying too, is that on my first time, I did not win, and actually even on my first time competing, I wouldn't even consider myself the hardest worker in the room. I would just consider myself, I was learning, I was growing through that space. So I really appreciate that advice. I think that's phenomenal.
And I think that as you grew, I remember the very first time we worked together, I think you were 4th runner up. And then you came back and you won. And it was like so funny, year to year, the 2 years, to watch your growth, to watch that you had finally stepped out. You're like, I'm going to share my story. I'm going to share Sisters too. And it evolved into the book and into this. Like, it's like from the first time I ever worked with you up until now. And listen, I'm now lead the interview, right? So leave it to Crystal Cavey to take over the whole interview.
No, it's okay. You got it.
You just become a leader in your state. Like, you're a leader in this industry. You've changed lives. Like, you've allowed women to share their stories, to share their journeys, to share their passions. And it really has changed the lives of so many women. And, I think that it's not that you probably weren't the hardest worker, but, a lot of times it's like, I'm not ready to do those things because those things don't align with me. And then all of a sudden, once you shared your story and you started working Sisters too, which now has evolved into, your book and all of the wonderful things you're doing. It's like, okay, now I found my true passion. And that's where I am even with coaching. Like, I have found my passion in life, and I love every single day. I never get up and feel tired. No matter how long I work the day before, I get up, and if my first client is 6 a.m., she is getting a well-caffeinated 6 a.m. Crystal Cavey.
I love it. And that actually leads us right into our next question, coaching women to success, right? Because that's what you do. And so my question for you in this area is, when did you know that coaching role was absolutely for you?
So I got certified to become a life coach in 2015. I became a certified life coach and a certified public speaker. I went to Mrs. Illinois America in 2016 and won on my first try. And then I went to Mrs. America. I'd made top 15. I was actually, fun fact, the last name called. So I was very prepared not to be called, actually. And
wait, but here, let me insert this right there because the last shall be first and the first shall be last.
and then after that,
even when I won fourth runner up, I knew. I said, you know what, Tamika, you're gonna win next time. Oh, I was last.
I like it. So even it was about that time in 2017 that I knew I was ready to help women on their pageant journey. And the fun fact of it is, that is my one of my first clients ever was Autumn Castine, who went on to win Mrs. Wisconsin, United States. And I knew it. I loved it from the moment. It wasn't about turning women into mini Crystal Caveys. It was about helping women be their best every single day, right down to the eyelash. It was about helping women share the most painful stories we have in our lives. It was about helping women and connecting them to have great service. For me, I can't be present everywhere. So one of the things I really pride myself on is, hey, you should call so-and-so because she works a similar platform to you. Or, hey, you know, Ashley Sabali, have you ever heard of Catherine Arneson and Jill Gilmore? They run organizations called Raining Pearls of Hope and Marley's Ministry. And what you're doing directly aligns, you know. I mean, for me, it's all about connections and collaborations that take this amazing sport that we love so much of pageantry 10 steps further. I really do believe in that collaboration piece. And coaching is my passion. I have over 300 worldwide clients. I coach coast to coast across the United States, the UK, Canada, Ireland, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Cuba, Australia. So usually when I'm coaching Australia, it's the next day there. That's my friend Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
She was my client too. You know, and I really pride myself on working so hard with these women, not to teach them what to say. I don't want women to walk into interview rooms and say what I want you to say. I want you to say what's in your heart, and I'll help you polish it up.
Exactly. And so would you go further on to say that you believe that even in this pageantry space, because this is what I've come to realize, is that it's a destined journey. I believe that it's a destined journey. Like even as you were talking and you're connecting women with women, you're connecting those resources with resources. Like you're a connector. You know what I mean? And so that's awesome. And
well, that's what I want to see happen. Like, remember the day we called you? You were at work. You were like, what's the origin? I'm like, I'm here with a girl named Tiffany. She's a brand new pageant girl. And her platform has to do with water. And I just feel I need to introduce the two of you.
Yeah.
And it's like watching those connections happen. And even the connections that are made with me. Like I am going to Orlando this weekend and I'm going there for a wedding party. We'll call it a bachelorette party, but it's like a wedding party because we're a little older. So we don't necessarily do bachelorettes the way we did them when we were in our 20s.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to Disney Springs with some ears on to have a good time, but it's all pageant girls. I have been present for the birth of some of my queen's babies. I have stood in pageant weddings. These women have been people I have cried on their shoulder. They have cried on mine. My friend here, Jordan, won American Elegance on her first try. I was her coach, but then she went to swimsuit Sports Illustrated and competed for the Sports Illustrated competition. And I supported her through that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's about life. Yes. And so for me, I take this coaching and anything I teach a woman, she should be able to use it to go get a job. She should be able to go use it to make a presentation at a big event or a venue. She should be able to use it to run for her PTO or run for office. I teach in a really big life coaching manner that this amazing sport we love should make us so much better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I guess that would lead me to my next question, which really is, what do you think the most important characteristic that a woman should have, or a girl should have when it comes to being their best self?
Oh, I could tell you that there's two. One of them is fairly easy. And one of them is a little harder. Okay. This is only Crystal Cavey speaking. And if right now, most of anybody who's ever worked with me or anybody who's ever coached with me knows exactly what I'm going to say. They're like, oh, here we go. Number one is this, and number two is this. And this is in life, pageants, in getting a job, applying for college. It's in every element. Number one, it's easier. For the bulk majority of us, the easy piece is this: be authentic, be yourself. I mean, you don't want to win something and not be yourself. And then all of a sudden you have to be that person for an entire 365 days.
Yes.
Like, be you. When I went to Mrs. Galaxy, I truly shared my passion, but I was me all the way to the finish line.
And here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, Crystal, because you say number one is easy, but a lot of times for some women, that's actually very difficult for them to go into
it's easy for the bulk majority of women. And sometimes it's the challenge we have to overcome.
Yes.
But I believe that women who want to do this, for the most part, have real authentic reasons, real authentic passions, and they just need to be brought out of their shell to be themselves, right? So the first thing is be authentic. The second one is a little harder. The second one is hard for all of us, especially with what we do every single day. And number two is to be consistent.
Yes.
If you're going to do it consistently. I always say it's not about what you do once. It's about what you do every single day that matters, right?
Exactly.
So, for example, I'm a person who has lost 65 pounds, 185 inches, and 12 pant sizes over the last 10 years. And I work every single day to keep it off. Like, I work 7 days a week. I give myself something called 30 minutes of movement. It's either 30 to 55. It depends on how hard I'm working that day. But I always tell people, listen, it's about consistency.
Yes.
You're not going to work out one time and find yourself fit, like, or even healthy for that matter. It's about what we do consistently that makes our lives better.
Yes.
So, I really believe authenticity and consistency are the key. And when coupled together really well, you're going to become unbeatable. And that's because if you can get those two things down, it means, number one, I've got a good passion and a good body of work. I've got a great platform. I'm doing the work. And most of all, I'm the queen people want to talk to. Yeah. When I walk into a room, I don't darken the mood. I light the
mood. That's like, be the light.
Be the light. Actually, that fun fact, I'm in a sorority. I'm in a Latina founded, multicultural based sorority. And they give us a line name. And my line name is La Luz, which means the light.
Yes. I remember you telling me that when I was like, I want my platform to be sisters too. And part of that is be the light. And you was like, oh my God, girl. Yes. And you told me that story. Yes. So it's all
I really believe that, coaching, I coach women. And the best part about it is, like, I really love it when we become like best friends. So many of the women I've coached, I have stayed at their homes. We have shared dinners. We have shared breakfast. We have shared stories. We have cried. We have laughed. We have given gifts. We have just really cared about each other. Like, it's the lifelong friendships that come from this, because there will come a day on August the 6th of 2022 when I will hang up my pageant heels. And those are competition heels, not coaching heels. Let's be clear for anybody in the room. Okay. The coaching career is just
out there. Okay.
The coaching career is just beginning. I will hang up my competition heels because I did win Mrs. Galaxy International, and that's what I want to go out with. And I have to love Crystal Cavey enough to say I don't have to compete again. I have my friends. I have solidified relationships. I continue to foster relationships, and I've continued to foster an environment of a lot of love. Yeah. It doesn't mean that every single person is going to become your best friend, but I have been blessed in this journey to say that I have made some of the best friends in my entire life, and I would not change it for the world. The wins, the losses, all of it.
Amen. Amen. I love that, and I love you. I thank you so much for being on here for real.
Well, I love you. And I will tell you, like, I'm just, she doesn't know I'm going to do this. But I'm going to tell you, like, this woman you're a part of my heart. Watching you evolve, watching your journey grow, and then watching you make these lifelong connections. I mean, I always ask clients, like, hey, if you didn't win the pageant, who would you want to see win? And, the fun fact was, the year that you won Mrs. Wisconsin, United States, many women wanted to see you win. And that's because you had built this environment around you that was positive and happy and upbeat and motivated. And then you went on to write a book and do all the things, like all the things. And just seeing all the things that you've done have just been amazing to me. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'm super proud of you. I'm so excited that I get to be, I think I get to be the final person before you crown your successor, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you
Save
do.
the
And that's
culture
what I
alive.
wanted you here. That's what I wanted you here for this time, because you coached me to the win. You coached me to the win, and I appreciate you for that. And I'm just, it's just gratitude.
Yes.
And
And I'm
so
grateful for you as well, watching you now and all you're doing for individuals across your state. And even just seeing you at, the Miss National Model and, with your little queen there and how overly joyed and elated she was and the experience she had because of you. And that's what we try to do in this journey is make this experience better for another woman. And
absolutely.
I'll tell you, I start my job at 6 o'clock in the morning, and some days I work until 8 p.m. And some weeks I take 55 clients, and some weeks I take, 25 clients, but I typically work at least 30 to 40 hours with women every single week. And I'll tell you, in large part of it, I pour my entire heart into each hour. It's like, okay, next one, here we go, hold on. Okay, I gotta be ready for her as I was
and
for
that's
the first
and
one.
that's coffee you drinking, right?
Oh, it sure is, girl. Cup number 2. So, and but this sport is such a large part of my heart. And even when I'm done with the competition phase of it, as I get to transition into the coaching phase, I am so grateful for where God has led me. And I will tell you, I do believe that there was some divine intervention one day that said, you're supposed to do something besides compete. And coaching women and watching them win. And when they call, I'm sitting on the other end crying my eyes out for them. I'm not crying because I coached you to win. I'm crying because you won. And
Yes,
I know
yes,
how that feels.
yes, absolutely,
And I know how
absolutely.
that
So
feels. And to me, it's when that FaceTime goes off, and I will share one person that we both know well. So Jackie Edwards is a great example. I was at a pageant when she was competing, and my FaceTime started going off, and I started running around the room in a circle, screaming, "She's FaceTiming! She's got to have won! She's FaceTiming! She won!" I opened the phone, and there she is in her crown and banner in all her glory.
yeah,
And it's one of those moments when that's how my heart just beats so heavy for the queens and watching them succeed, and then watching them so happy and watching their
yeah.
families get to be a part of it with them. And I love every moment of it.
Yes,
So
and it's an amazing experience, and absolutely to be on that other end of just being able to watch and glean, and it's amazing. And so I thank you so much again for being here.
well,
I do
thank
like
you.
to close us out though with you just giving us one thing that you want to leave with our viewers for this month. And then in addition to that, how can women connect with you if they want to be coached through you, if they want to sew into
Mhm.
you? I like to do that. So how can leave us with that one thought, and then also tell us how we can connect with you.
So the one thought I want to leave is this. When the smoke settles and the dust clears, the friendships we make in this sport are forever. Whether we have the pageant heels on or whether we're getting ready to go work out with our pageant sisters, the friendships we make and the families that we build here are forever. And I know that a lot of the women that will be watching this will know me. And I want to say that I am grateful for each and every single one of you. And that even though I got to be a part of your journey, what you may not realize is you're actually also a part of my journey. So that's the thought I want to leave you with is thank you, and foster the friendships, because that is what is forever. These are the friends that we make our families. Connecting with me, I keep it really simple. So I'm Crystal Cavey on Facebook. I'm Crystal Cavey on Instagram. I'm Crystal Cavey on Twitter. And most recently, I just got a TikTok, which I have not made any videos. I'm not that good. Crystal Cavey on there too. And the best part is I always respond. As long as I'm not on the phone with a client, whether you text me, whether you message me, you're gonna get a response from me. So I try to be as responsive as I possibly can. I try to pour my heart into every single woman I meet, and even those I don't meet.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. And so again, if you guys want to connect with Crystal, she just gave you the rundown or where you can reach her and connect with her. I'll add that banner here so that you can see it. It's simple. Crystal Cavey, as she said,
And
on all social
thank
media
you.
platforms.
Thank you.
So
And
thank
and thank you for taking me for my vacation. So normally I would be dressed up like Tamika, but today you're getting me from vacation in Tennessee, and I was not going to miss this for anything.
Aw, thank you. Well, thank you for pulling me into your vacation for this one time. I appreciate it. Wish I had the sun like you do, but thank you so much, and I will see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Welcome back, ladies. Wasn't that so encouraging and insightful? That interview was really special to me because Crystal was actually my pageant coach, and she is the one that coached me to the win of Mrs. Wisconsin 2021. And so, I felt like this would be a good time to have her on the show because I'm excited. I will be passing on my title as Mrs. Wisconsin coming up in the next couple of weeks to the next queen who will be the new Mrs. Wisconsin 2022. And also, I want to give a shout out to all you ladies out there for International Women's Month. That's what this month is. And so this was just like a dedication to that. So I hope you all enjoyed. And I would also want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. In addition to that, I kind of wanted Destined Discussions to be an interactive discussion between you and I. So when you do comment, if you have a question, if you're interested in the conversation and you want to share your thoughts, please do that. And I would be delighted to reach back out and respond to your comments. I wish you all a great rest of the month. I look forward to seeing you all again in April for another episode of Destined Discussions. And you all know what I like to say. I like to believe I've been purposely adorned. So my message to you is always adorn yourself with purpose. Until next time, bye.